Hey guys, I'm back with another video. First off, I'd just like to thank all of you for such kind comments regarding the clip of my little cousin Aaron playing RuneScape in the last video. He thought it was really cool being a part of the video and seeing people comment about him. I'm sure it made him extremely happy, and that's probably something that he won't forget for a long time. So thank you again. In this video, I'm going to be talking about some stuff that Jagex never used within RuneScape. Most of these things that I'm going to be showing all of you were unused assets found within the cache files of the RuneScape 2 beta in 2004, the original RuneScape 2 from 2005 to 2007, and some unused things that were found within the cache files of the 2008 version of RuneScape HD. I hope you all enjoy. So the first thing I want to talk about is in reference to something I talked about in the last useless information video. In that video, I showed how the Grand Exchange does actually have a roof. Expanding on that topic, found within the RuneScape cache files is an unused piece of the Grand Exchange's originally planned roof. The roof was actually going to have a pointed tower on top of it, and a flag would have been connected to the very top. This can also be seen in the original concept art for the Grand Exchange before it was officially released in 2007. This part of the roof probably wasn't added due to the camera pan and zoom limitations back then. People probably wouldn't have been able to see it, so it was just scrapped. Found within the cache files of the 2004 RuneScape 2 beta version of RuneScape, you can find sleeping animations for the player. It's unknown if these were ever finished before they were scrapped. They were going to be used for when a player would sleep in a bed. When the beta first released, you could actually sleep in beds, but there'd be no animations. Instead, this is what it looked like. Fatigue levels, like in RuneScape Classic, were in the game at this time, but they didn't properly work. The fatigue system itself, sleeping bags, sleeping in general, and beds that you could sleep in altogether were eventually scrapped. There's actually also some unused bed models by Jagex from the RuneScape 2 beta period as well. Here are some beds that were never used before the entire fatigue system was removed. This gray bed, however, was able to be found in Lumbridge near the castle for new players. I wish they would have kept these redesigns of the red bed. I think it would be cool to have a style variation for beds for player-owned houses. Do you guys remember the strange shrine at the center of the maze random event with the gods' faces on it that I spoke about in the last video? Well, within the cache files of RuneScape, there's an unused object that was actually going to be used for the center of the maze instead. That object looked like this. You can see the symbols of Zamorak, Guthix, and Saradomin lighting up at the top of it. Why Jagex never used this is unclear. So, back in the RuneScape Classic days, whether you were playing online in a web browser or on their early downloadable client, if you were not a member and were just a free player, you would see advertisements above and below the game's client. However, players with paid membership wouldn't see these advertisements. This was also a thing when playing RuneScape 2 on a web browser or the downloadable client if you were a non-member as well. The difference between RuneScape Classic's client ads and RuneScape 2's ads, though, was the fact that Jagex actually created a lot of their advertisements that displayed above RuneScape Classic's client from 2001 to 2003. These advertisements were specifically made with RuneScape players in mind. These ads would warn players against account sharing and trading, warn of common credit card scams online, give general advice about keeping your account secure, and there were even some ads that advertised the release of RuneScape 2 while Classic could still be played around 2004. However, after RuneScape 2 came out, these advertisements were never used again. As we all know, horses have never existed in RuneScape. They were at one point in time planned though. In the cache files, you can find an audio file named horse_hit that was meant for horses before they were scrapped. It plays what it would have sounded like if the player attacked one. Here it is. Mod Ian, who was responsible for a lot of RuneScape's game sounds, even wrote on Reddit saying that trying to create the sound for a horse was simply just too difficult at the time. Back in the earliest version of the RuneScape 2 beta, when choosing what your player looked like, you could also design it to look like an old graphic-styled demon, tail and all. In this screenshot, you can see a Jagex moderator as well as a normal player both sporting the demon customizations. In old school RuneScape in 2016, Jagex decided to add an item called Old Demon Mask as part of the Master Clue Scroll rewards, probably as a nod to this old 2004 player modification. In 2019, Demon Feet were also released as rewards from beginner clue scrolls as well. In the same year, Jagex polled whether or not they should add a demon red skin color that would have worked well with these items cosmetically, but it failed massively by 70.6%. In fact, every single question in the entire poll failed massively, as the entire poll was all about cosmetic changes in the game. Because of this, the entire poll was cancelled on July 5th, 2019. The Demon player customizations can still mostly be seen though when looking at the Canifis Slayer Master NPC named Mashna. So this is what the Slayer helmet looked like upon release on June 6, 2008, shortly after the release of RuneScape HD. Eventually, as RuneScape developed into RuneScape 3, it turned into this by March 6, 2012. But before it was ever even released, it looked like this. This was found within RuneScape HD's cache files, and you can see how it looked. All of the necessary items required to make a Slayer helmet were originally planned to be included in its appearance, but the design was scrapped and changed before its actual release. Which, thank God, I mean, look at this thing. Within the cache files of RuneScape 2, you can find an early model of a summoning familiar that was going to be a boar. You can see what the boar's model and chat head icon was going to look like here before RuneScape HD in 2008, and here's its model and chat head icon after the release of RuneScape HD as well. The boar also had a walking animation, shown here, an attack animation, also shown here, an animation for being spawned in by using its summoning pouch, and also an animation which was its special move, which could be activated by its special move scroll. The pouch and the special move scroll were also designed as well. The special move would be activated and the boar would search for what are called truffles. In real life, there's a type of pig referred to as a truffle hog. It's when domesticated pigs are used for locating and extracting the fruit bodies of the fungi known as truffles from temperate forests. Pigs are attracted to the pheromones that truffles release due to the similar compounds that mirror testosterone found in pigs. Also found within the cache files for the boar was an animation of a truffle appearing after using its special move scroll. When it's all put together properly, it may have looked something like this. For a long time, the item truffle even appeared on the Grand Exchange, but couldn't be bought. This boar was eventually scrapped for summoning and later reworked to become the NPC Brove, a summoning pet that is obtained during the RuneScape 3 quest while Guthic sleeps. You can see many similarities between the original boar and Brove today. In the last video, I spoke about a previously scrapped underwater God Wars dungeon expansion. Well, there's actually some unused models within the cache files that were going to be added to this expansion but were never used since the whole thing was cancelled. It's 2 fish and a trident. I think this green looking fish is really cool though. It's like an anglerfish, but it has 2 lights on its head instead of 1, like the original anglerfish. Interestingly enough though, this model of this brown fish would later be used in old school RuneScape as the model for anglerfish, yet for some reason this model was not present in the original RuneScape 2 cache files with the original 2007 God Wars Dungeon update. But it was included in the old school RuneScape God Wars Dungeon cache files when God Wars was re-released for old school. The Trident model was later turned into a merfolk trident, which can be bought from Marin's Market in the underwater area of Fossil Island for 400 mermaid tears. Within the assets for the quest Monkey Madness 1, there's a model for an unused key. Presumably, the skull on top of this key is a monkey skull. This key might have been used to steal the monkey skull, which is an item found in the Temple of Marimbo dungeon. The player must have completed the hard tasks of the Western Provinces diary to do this. When you have the skull, you can then create an ancient gorilla Gree, which turns you into a giant blue-faced gorilla. This key, Gree, and gorilla model has always existed since 2004 when Monkey Madness 1 was first released, but wasn't obtainable until the Western Provinces diary released in 2015 in old school RuneScape. The key itself was never used, you only needed to do the diary, but the key does bear a striking resemblance to the Deadman mode bank key that you get when you kill other players in that game mode. In my last video, I talked about the Duke of Bridge Lum random event that was scrapped. Well, that random event is actually where the cow outfit came from within old school RuneScape. The cow outfit models themselves have actually been in RuneScape 2's cache files ever since 2006. The cow outfit today is a reward for completing old school RuneScape's birthday events instead. The Duke of Bridge Lum random event also came with its own unreleased song, and it's called Autumn in Bridge Lum. If you listen closely, it sounds a lot like the song Autumn Voyage that plays in the area of Lumbridge as well. On October 18, 2002, 1 year before the RuneScape 2 beta released on December 1, 2003, Andrew Gower posted a message talking about RuneScape 2's development process, and he showed off these two images of what RuneScape 2 was going to look like. The main thing that you'll notice is that RuneScape 2 was originally planned to have a skybox. I've mentioned these two photos before, but I found something else that actually referred to these two mysterious images of RuneScape with a skybox. In the cache files for 2008's RuneScape HD, you can find some unused sky texture sprites. I don't think these were ever going to be used for RuneScape HD, but instead could possibly be some of the sky textures that were left over from the early RuneScape 2 beta's plans for having a skybox itself. So I personally really enjoyed seeing this one. Here's some unreleased images of some models of things that were never added to RuneScape for the Hunter skill. Throughout these photos, you can see images of models of clothing, which appeared to be other big cats that never made it into the game in association with the skill, as well as some other animal-like birds, lizards, and even some unknown creatures too. There was also these 4 models of mounted heads that were never released as well in association with the Hunter skill. Perhaps they would have been hung inside player-owned houses or something. Speaking of player-owned houses, here's an unused female model for a player-owned house servant. She's dressed very similarly to the chief servant NPC that can be found at the Servants Guild where you hire them in Ardoyne. There's also an unused model for the Crystal Axe that was supposed to release in 2006 as part of a reward from the Eyes of Gluffery quest. This model was never used though, and it even came with 4 sound effects. Here's the sound that would have played when it was chopping a tree. Here's the sound for its crush-style attack. Here's the sound for its slash-style attack. And here's the sound effect intended either for the axe running out of charges or being recharged at the singing bowl that's found in the gnome Brimstale's cave. This crystal axe was eventually reworked from this to this, and was released in July of 2019 alongside the Song of the Elves quest in old school RuneScape. Within RuneScape 2's cache files, you can find an unused model for a Void Knight staff, which looks very similar to the ancient staff players can obtain after the Desert Treasure quest, which might actually be why this Void Knight staff was never used. I wonder how powerful it would have been while wearing full Magic Void set. You guys know how we get the Not Helm after the quest, the Fremenic Isles? Well, we almost didn't get that helmet, and instead, we almost got this one. I don't even know what to say about it, except that I'm just extremely glad that that didn't happen. Think about how much people have used the Not Helm for so many things since the quest's release in February of 2007. We almost had this all along instead, though. Within RuneScape HD's cache, There's some unused chat head icons that reveal that RuneScape HD's 2008 chat heads were initially planned to be very similar to their older RuneScape 2 counterpart chat heads. What I mean by that is that here's what the chat head for Duke Horacio, the Duke of Lumbridge, looked like in RuneScape in 2007, and here's what it looked like upon the release of RuneScape HD in 2008. But this is actually what it was supposed to look like. It looks extremely weird, right? Well, all of RuneScape NPCs before being upgraded to HD were going to look like this. They sort of look like clay figures. This is almost what they were instead of what they were eventually polished into. Playing the game would have been hilarious if Jagex had kept these. It is unclear whether or not these were finished or not though. And finally, in 2006, RuneScape held an Easter event in which players received their rubber chickens. Here's some extremely creepy unused models of children that weren't added into the event, and I can understand why. There's even 2 unused and unfinished animations with these guys as well. It looks like a jumping animation, which may have been the first ever creation of the bunny hop emote in RuneScape. The next one looks like the kid is falling down and shrinking. The bunny ears that the kids are wearing are very different looking from the original bunny ears from 2003 as well. And the last 2 models are both children looking 100% completely without a doubt dead inside. Easter's not here yet, but it's almost here, and these 2 kids have already ruined it for me. Thank you guys for watching. If you know what I should make a video about next, let me know down in the comments. Interesting, Easter is actually almost here, so if you celebrated, I hope you all have a good one. I really do appreciate the support on the last video. That thing is currently at over 85,000 views at the time of making this video, and that's insane to see after I haven't uploaded in so long. You guys still amaze me, and you're all awesome. Have a good day or night, and I'll see you later. Take it easy.